Have you ever found yourself wondering where Asians come from, or what the origins of the Japanese, Chinese, and Koreans are? These questions often puzzle us, especially since we traditionally refer to Adam and Eve when thinking about the origins of humanity. Today, we will explore the origins of Asian peoples, a topic that arouses curiosity and fascination in many of us. Our quest for answers will take us through various sources, each offering a unique piece to this intriguing puzzle. However, we will embrace the biblical approach as a special lens for this journey of discovery. The Bible, our divine compass, is not only a spiritual guide, but also a rich source of history and culture. In its pages, we find a treasure of wisdom that transcends centuries, offering valuable teachings about the origin and formation of peoples around the world. The book of Genesis, the foundation of the sacred scriptures, emerges as a key source for understanding the genealogies and origins of nations. This is where we begin our journey, in the extraordinary context of Noah and his sons. Noah, a righteous man in the eyes of the Lord, was chosen to be the herald of life's preservation during the flood that transformed the earth. When he emerged from the ark, he brought with him a new chance, a fresh start for humanity. However, it is in the details of Noah's descendants that we find the seeds of the diversity that flourished on the earth. His 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, were blessed and destined to be the progenitors of numerous nations. Today, we will turn our attention to Japheth, our starting point for unraveling the connections between human history and Asia. Japheth not only shared in his father Noah's blessing, but also played a vital role in spreading humanity across the earth. Japheth, whose name means beautiful or to enlarge, was blessed with a lineage that would spread to distant regions. He became one of the fundamental links in the chain of history, connecting the past to the present and the future. The blessing of Japheth is recorded in Genesis 9:27. May God enlarge Japheth, and may he dwell in the tents of Shem, and may Canaan be his servant. The enlargement of Japheth is a promise of prosperity and expansion, and among the 3 promises given to Japheth, his appears to be the most extensive. He is destined to inhabit a vast territory, and this blessing is like a seed sown that will germinate into a multitude of cultures, civilizations, and peoples over time. The vast territory attributed to Japheth, as indicated by his blessing, covers a geographic expanse that stretches from the lands of Europe to regions of Asia. Japheth's descendants were destined to populate these lands, giving rise to a diversity of nations. The expression, "may he dwell in the tents of Shem," suggests a harmonious coexistence between the descendants of Japheth and Shem, his brothers. The biblical journey of understanding the origins of peoples often leads us to facts that are evidenced by science. Today, there are studies that prove the kinship between Asians and Europeans, reinforcing the biblical account and the understanding that Japheth's descendants indeed populated Europe and Asia. Delving into this genetic mosaic, we find the Xiongnu, an ancient Chinese tribe that, according to historical sources, inhabited the vast and distant Asian steppes in the 6th century BC. The mitochondrial DNA of these people surprisingly reveals not only a predominant Asian heritage, but also a notable share of 12% European heritage. That is, this Chinese tribe, rooted in the vast Asian steppes far from the borders dividing Europe, still shares genetic traits with European peoples. The wonder of God's Word and the Bible transcends time, revealing itself as an inexhaustible source of wisdom and understanding. It is fascinating to note how the scriptures, centuries before contemporary scientific discoveries, already outlined the complexity of the lineage between Europeans and Asians. Speaking of fascination and curiosity, as we explore the roots of Greek mythology, we encounter an intriguing coincidence that sheds light on the origin of the Asian continent. In Greek mythology, Asia is a beautiful woman presented as the wife of a powerful character named Japheth, a connection that notably has ties to biblical elements and leads us to reflect on the correlations between Greek mythology and what is actually written in the Bible. Here is the question: could Greek mythology, rich in symbolism, have absorbed in a distorted way fragments of biblical stories. Could this Japheth, a character from Greek mythology, be the same person the Bible describes as Japheth, the son of Noah? This makes sense considering the similarity of the names Japheth and Japheth. It is also worth noting that he probably named his vast territory as Asia, certainly in honor of his beloved wife, as was customary at the time. Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think Japheth and Japheth were the same characters, or is this all just a coincidence? Remember to leave your like and subscribe to the channel. And let's dive into the video. Genesis chapter 10 is known as the Table of Nations and describes the genealogy of Noah's sons after the flood. The verse about Japheth's descendants is found in Genesis 10:2 and says the following. The sons of Japheth were Gomer, Magog, Madai, Javan, Tubal, Meshech, and Tiras. This is the beginning of Japheth's genealogy, which later expands to mention the nations formed from them. The Table of Nations continues to detail the lineages of Noah's sons, offering a view of the origins of peoples after the flood. This chapter serves as a map guiding us through the paths of nations, revealing the wealth and diversity that sprang from this blessed lineage. However, to facilitate our studies, we will focus on Gomer, the son of Japheth and grandson of Noah. Although his presence in the scriptures is brief, his descendants play a significant role in forming nations and cultures that flourished throughout history. The biblical account mentions that Gomer was the father of 3 sons, Ashkenaz, Japheth, and Togarmah. Like the sons of Noah, each of these names carries with it the promise of a lineage that would spread and multiply across different regions. As we explore ancient texts, we discover that these descendants played unique roles in forming civilizations and cultures. Ashkenaz is often associated with the ancestors of the Scythians, a nomadic people who traversed vast stretches of Eurasia. Japheth, in turn, is linked to the Celts, contributing to Europe's cultural richness. However, it is Togarmah, the third son of Gomer, who captures particular attention when it comes to the origins of Asian peoples. Togarmah, the son of Gomer and grandson of Japheth, is identified as the principal ancestor of Asian peoples, especially those who inhabited the lands of the far north. This connection, traced through the scriptures, offers a unique perspective on the roots of Asians and their ancestral heritage. The etymology of the name Togarmah, with its linguistic variations, also reveals interesting nuances. In ancient Assyrian, the name Togarmah means ruler or merchant, in Hebrew breakers, and in Phoenician drawn or broken. The expression broken eyes or drawn refers to the unique physiognomy that defines many Asian peoples. The connection between Togarmah and Asian peoples is further deepened when we explore biblical passages such as Ezekiel 38:6. Gomer and all his troops, the house of Togarmah from the far north, and all his troops, many nations with you. This citation is set in a prophetic context where Ezekiel describes a coalition of nations that will unite against Israel. The specific mention of the house of Togarmah from the far north points to a geographical identification of these peoples, suggesting a connection with Asian regions. This biblical reference has been explored by scholars to understand the origins and distribution of ancient peoples, especially those who inhabited northern regions such as the Asian peoples. The connection between Togarmah and Asian peoples becomes evident when considering the wide variety of nations and tribes that inhabited the far northern regions, including Chinese, Mongols, Japanese, Koreans, and Turks. This biblical approach not only highlights the diversity of these peoples, but also provides a profound context for understanding their ancestral roots. The Chinese, with their rich millennial heritage, find their roots in this ancestral legacy, marking the history of China as a cultural and historical power. The Mongols, in the vast steppes, unleashed empires that shaped the landscape of Central Asia. In the Japanese archipelago, Togarmah's descendants gave life to a unique culture whose influence resonates globally. The Koreans, with their rich and complex history, represent another strand of this lineage. contributing significantly to the Asian scene. Finally, the Turks, as heirs of the bridge between East and West, carry with them a heritage that intertwines with diverse influences. The grand promise given to Japheth to inhabit a vast territory unfolded over the centuries, revealing itself as a prophecy that transcended eras and continues to materialize. For example, today we see how China, one of the largest countries in population and territory, had its origins in the descendants of Togarma and Japheth, realizing the content written in the Bible. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please subscribe to the channel, leave your like, and click on one of the 2 videos that will appear to continue watching. Hugs, and stay with God.